We've had a super turnout today, which we're dead pleased about, and apologies for anybody who needs to stand, but please do make use of the seats that are available. Yes, good afternoon, and welcome to this Metro Mayor Hustings for the North of Tyne economy. My name is Paul Swinney, I'm Director of Policy Research at the think tank Centre for Cities, and we look at the urban economies of 63 largest cities in the UK, which ones do well, which ones don't, what does that mean for policy. So it's fantastic to be here today to host our candidates to understand what it is that they will do for the North of Tyne economy, understand where opportunities are, where the risks are, and what that then means for policy. I'd like to thank the North East Chamber of Commerce for partnering with us today, which is very much appreciated. And I ask Jonathan Walker to come forward and say a few words for the introduction.
That's the easiest round of applause I've ever had. Yeah, just a huge thank you again to everyone for turning out today, and so many of our members represented. As Paul said, I'm Jonathan Walker from the North East England Chamber of Commerce. For those of you who don't know us, we're the largest business membership organisation in the region, representing around about 3,000 businesses, which we estimate employ at least a third of the region's workforce. We've been big supporters of devolution. We believe that the decisions affecting our members and our economy should be taken as close to those who it affects as it possibly can. So it's great to see so much engagement in this debate. We believe this is a huge opportunity for the North of Tyne area for a mayor to come in and be a real strong voice on behalf of businesses and the economy in the region. And looking forward to today's debate. And I think in a couple of minutes I've got the privilege of the first question, but I'm going to hand back to Paul.
Lovely, thank you. So, who have we got to speak to us today? We've got 5 candidates with us, ready to take your questions. The candidates are John Appleby from the Liberal Democrats, Jamie Driscoll from Labour,
Hello.
Charlie Hull from the Conservatives,
Thank you.
Hugh Jackson from UKIP, and John McCabe, who's standing as an independent.
Hello.
And for completeness, I'm pleased to say we've got all 5 candidates here today, and there aren't any other candidates that are running, so you get the value of hearing from all of the people who are in the race. So let me say a few words about how the event will run, and then we'll get underway. In a moment, I'm going to invite the candidates up to make a 90-minute pitch in terms of what their view is. And a second pitch. So they haven't got that much time.
Fidel Castro.
Just to clarify, the 90-second pitch candidates, and I will hold you to that it's 90 seconds on their priorities for supporting the area's economy. The order was randomly determined, and I'll read that order out in turn. I will be timing these, and I'll be giving the candidates a 20-second warning when we come at the end of 90 seconds. And I will, because we're very tight on time, we've got loads of great questions, and a lot of people in the room will unfortunately have to cut you off. So please do be prepared for that if I have to do that. We'll organise the questions around 3 broad themes. We've got economy, business and skills. Then we've got transport, and then finally we've got housing as well. And we'll spend about 10 to 15 minutes on each area and move through. So questions will be short and sharp. We've had a number of great questions that have been submitted. We've contacted people in terms of the questions that we'd like them to read out. So if you have been contacted, please do be ready to give them. Stick to the question that you originally submitted. Please don't go off topic and try and keep it short and sharp. I can't guarantee we'll get through all of the questions because we've only got an hour and a half, but we'll see how we get on. And I promise you that will be finished by 2 p.m. It'll be on my head if we don't. So without further ado, can I ask John Appleby, the Liberal Democrats, please, to come forward first and make his first 90 seconds.
Thank you, and thank you to everybody for coming and taking an interest in this new position. What you'll hear from me is honesty, and I mean honesty in the sense of plain speaking. I'll tell you what I think is realistic, and you won't get a wish list of things that I don't know I can deliver. I've got a broad range of experience, and I hope to bring that to this post. The North of Tyne is a bit of an ill-defined area in the sense it's not all North of Tyne, and it conflicts to some extent with the other authorities and the other arrangements. But what we want to do is to make the North East and this North of Tyne proud of itself. I think the main jobs of the mayor are going to be communication, promoting the North East, getting people to feel this is a great place to live and work, and coordination, bringing the 3 authorities to work together. In terms of the economy, Brexit's a huge challenge. We're not here primarily to talk about that, but we do need to bear in mind it could have a huge hit here, and I'm strongly in favour of remaining in the EU if it's still possible. We've got to build links. I think the mayor needs to build and maintain relationships between the authorities, with employers, with London, and with international partners. So that's the prime role. The actual delivery is going to be, to a large extent, within the authorities. and everything has to be done in agreement with those. So I won't get a specific list of I'm going to do A, B, C, D, E, because the first thing I'm going to do is get into a good relationship with those local authority leaders and see what we can do. And some great ideas in their existing strategic plans which we can build on.
Lovely, thank you very much. And that was perfect for time as well, so thank you very much for kicking that off in such a timely fashion. Next up, Charlie Hunt.
Thanks again. A, B, C, D, E. I thought I would do A, B, C, D, and E. A lot of you know me from my background. I've been running a business in the region, but I also have been driving the tech sector with a group Dynamo, which is for a network for collaboration, innovation, skills in the tech sector. We've generated a number of jobs, and it's great to see that the work behaving as a cluster has put us on the map, and the Department of Culture, Media and Sport have even put the growth in tech jobs in the region as the highest growth in any region in the UK, including London. I've been on the campaign trail, new to politics, but like to be fixing things. There are 4 areas that I'd like to talk about. One, which is getting school results, and I want to have a business board for every senior school so that kids can have great work experience and mentors. 2, town centre renewal. I've been to Berwick, I've been to Holtwhistle. Those towns are lagging because they have some of the building blocks, but they're not necessarily putting them all together. And we're in the beating heart here, but it's a challenge when you go further out. And I want to have a task force that will pull those communities and stakeholders together and be able to apply for great grants and tender for exciting projects. 3, those jobs I've referred to, we did a survey in 2016. There are only 200 kids did computer science A level. So we need to get the
Next up, John McCabe, please, Independent.
Thanks very much indeed. My thanks to Centre for Cities and North East England Chamber of Commerce for organising today's event, and to this magnificent Life Sciences Centre for hosting us today. Thanks to all of you for being here to take part in this really important debate on the future of our region, because this is a huge moment for the North of Tyne. The devolution deal, which has led to the creation of the combined authority and for the election of a mayor, gives us a once-in-a-generation opportunity to take control of the investments and the decisions that will shape our combined futures. I'm excited by what we can achieve through devolution in the North of Tyne, but I'm deeply concerned that this could be wasted by politicians and political parties who time after time place their interests over ours. This is what led me to standing for North of Tyne Mayor in the first place. Because make no mistake, this is a choice between more of the same under one of the traditional parties, or a new independent voice for the North of Tyne, represented by myself. Our new mayor should be somebody who understands the struggles and opportunities of everyday life, somebody who can unite private, public and voluntary sectors, and somebody who can stand on a national and international stage and clearly articulate a bold vision for our region. I believe that is too great a task and too big a responsibility, too important an opportunity to leave to a political party candidate. So today we're going to discuss a wide range of issues, and I'm looking forward to speaking to you later on those. I've never stood for political office before, but now that I am, I'm putting my heart and soul into this, and I will do no less if I'm elected as your mayor on the 2nd of May. Thank you very much indeed.
Next up, Hugh Jackson from UK.
Thank you. Well, I'm unused to public speaking, so we'll give it a try. The first thing that strikes me when I walk in the room is this thing here. Together, we grow stronger. And what I've heard from the previous candidates enthuses me. I think we all want the same thing, with a couple of exceptions. I'm not going to support the Lib Dems on their wish to stay in Europe, for instance. But it is about unity, it's about working together. It's about improving the severe structure. It's already been said, which is why I'm very sad to come almost last, because I don't want to say it's already been said. Very difficult. But there you go. I cannot pretend to be an expert in business. So I'm not going to try and fool anybody by pretending to about it. But I can claim to be very open to new ideas and to listen to people who know what they're talking about. against the anvil of common sense. We don't want to be too off the wall. Although having said that, some of my ideas may be described in that sense. For instance, I spent 16 years in North Tyne working rather hard to get a centre of excellence for post-19 training, which is one of the main responsibilities of the new mayor. I was very pleased.
Stop you there, Hugh. Thank you very much. Last but not least, Jamie Driscoll over there.
Doesn't time fly when you're up there?
Thank you, Paul. Thank you, everybody. Before you finish your breakfast, you will have depended upon half the world. It's a quote from Martin Luther King. He understood that our prosperity is interconnected. Our productivity depends on our education and skills. Our skills depend on our transport infrastructure. Our housing depends on our finance. All are interlinked, and all are underpinned by the need for long-term sustainability. A city economy is not a machine, it's an ecosystem. People within it make their decisions independently. The role of the mayor is to provide the conditions and strategic interventions to make this ecosystem flourish. We must recognise that Gateshead and Newcastle are the same city. Our land and allocation plans need to be unified across the region. Our transport links into this region affect Sunderland and South Tyneside as much as they affect North Tyneside and Northumberland. We all need an improved East Coast main line. Climate change affects us all. Mark Carney, Governor of the Bank of England, has warned that the finance and banking industry will collapse unless we take climate change seriously. I will drive the low-carbon economy to be the centre of our ecosystem. We need a local bank that will keep money in our region and protect us from financial shocks. All our kids and adult learners need the skills to do this. Prosperity is about working together. Thank you.
Lovely, excellent. Well, we've heard from our candidates. Now it's over to you to hear your questions. So, first one, Jonathan, please, can you come forward and ask your question?
Thank you. As I said, we believe that the role of mayor is first and foremost an economic one. So I guess that's a question in two parts. One is, what do you think is the single biggest challenge that stops businesses from growing in the North of Tyne, from taking on more people? And secondly, what will you do as mayor to engage with businesses to understand their concerns in the future?
Excellent, thank you. Hugh, can you go first on that one, please?
Yes, I think the biggest handicap is the uncertainty caused by Brexit. Not by Brexit itself, but by the uncertainty imposed. In my view, we should have left the European Union 2.5 years ago. I was at a meeting at the Port of Blyth on Monday, and the message there was exactly that. Uncertainty is causing us damage. The answer from the European Union, of course, is have a bit more uncertainty. Extend the date you leave, which of course they don't want. They're determined to keep us in Europe. But that uncertainty is the big problem to me.
Thank you.
Paul, can I ask if everybody can hear, or should we pass
yes.
the microphone along?
Can everybody hear okay? Lovely, excellent. Candidates, please
Thank
do
you.
enunciate. That's a good point. Thank you very much. John McCabe, can you answer that?
Certainly. I think we've seen, even as recently as yesterday in the Journal newspaper, two, I thought, really worrying stories. One about the widening of the gap on economic output between the North East and other regions of the UK. So that gap is wide, and it's getting wider. Economic output per head of population is less than half what it is in London. And then also some really distressing figures on employment and unemployment levels. So we've got rising levels and record levels of unemployment in the region compared to other regions of the UK, and falling levels, again in comparison with other regions of the UK, of employment. So I think that's a huge issue for us. It's a huge issue for business in terms of how business can plan for the future, get the right skills, get the right people into the right jobs, create opportunities for people to thrive and really prosper, to make a contribution into business. In terms of engagement, I think engagement is absolutely critical in this role. It's a brand new role, it's a brand new combined authority, but I think it goes Obviously, it extends to business, but it goes beyond business into engagement with the public sector and engagement with the voluntary sector as well. I think we have to realise that we've got a very strong public sector and a truly inspiring voluntary sector in the North of Tyne. So I think engagement is absolutely critical. Collaboration will be at the forefront of my approach to the mayoralty if I'm elected. I will want to work with private, public, voluntary sectors and bring people to the table who perhaps haven't been at the table before, people who haven't had a regional platform in order to make a contribution to the region that we all live in. So that would be my approach to engagement.
Excellent, thank you very much. Jamie, you go next, please.
Thank you. The number one thing that stops businesses expanding is customers. If a business has more customers, it does just fine. If you've got a sound business plan, if you know your business, you know how to make it work. It's too much money leaving our region. Too much of our finance system takes money out of the region. Too much of our procurement is not focused here. There's over 280 billion spent buying goods and services from the private sector. Small businesses need a level playing field to get that money. So what I'll be doing is setting up a procurement framework to make it easier. So a lot of these large contracts that go to the likes of Carillion and Interserve, they'll be broken down and made available so that they're a chunk that small businesses can manage. And we'll be using the Social Value Act clauses to make sure that small businesses are able to compete as well. And make sure it's got things like training local people in, like sustainable travel plans in. When this has been tried before, it's made a massive difference to local prosperity. For every pound spent with a small local business, 63 pence returns to the local economy. When it's spent with a large corporation, only 40% returns to the local economy. That's how we do it, and you'll all be involved in that and setting up this procurement framework.
Charlie.
To pick you up on your point, Jamie, I mean, the question is what's going to make the biggest impact? Isn't that? Can you repeat the question for everybody?
What's the biggest challenge?
The biggest challenge, and for me, my worry is a momentum Labour mayor, because Jamie, you're on record as saying 9 out of 10 business founders contribute absolutely nothing to the production process. That's anti-business rhetoric. That whenever I quote that, people are insulted. They're nervous that you've got all the talk, but you haven't got the experience, and it all comes out of a textbook. So for me, that's a big challenge. When you're out on the ground, people say it's skills. There are jobs that there are companies that can grow, but they need the talent and the skills, and that's one of the aspects that the mayor is going to hit on, is adult education and working with schools and making sure that the kids get out there with the right skills.
Thank you. I hear what Charlie says, but I think Jamie actually put forward some very good points about the need to support companies in developing. So what I would particularly focus on is small businesses. I talked to Jonathan, and I've talked to people at the LEP and so on, and I had assumed, for example, that apprenticeships were key, but I discovered that actually basic skills are often the deficiency in getting good employment. So we've got an adult education budget. That's one area we can look at refocusing that. But for those small businesses, there are things like, can they access the apprenticeship scheme, which has become too complicated, and they don't know that they only have to contribute 10% of the cost. So what I would like, and there's some parallels with what James was saying, I would like to look at a network, an array of support units for small business who can advise and support people